My name is Nicole.
And I'm Matt.
This is our Subaru that we converted into a camper. It's a 2008 Subaru Forester, and the conversion took us about 2 weeks. We both have no carpentry skills, so it took us a little bit longer than we'd like.
But it worked out okay.
Yeah, so we just wanted to show our setup. We were on a road trip for 3 weeks. Started in New Jersey, went to South Dakota, Wyoming, Utah, Colorado, Tennessee, and then back home. Lived out of our car except for the occasional Airbnb. This was our setup, and we think that it worked really well. With the coronavirus, we wanted to travel. We wanted to do it safe, and we wanted something reliable, and we also wanted to be able to do something where we could practice social distancing, and we didn't want to worry about hotels. And so initially we thought about van life, but the van seemed like a very daunting task for two people who had never traveled the country. And so we came up with the idea to get a Subaru after seeing some other things online, and that's what we did. Basic concept is a bed, 2 drawers, a water pump, a battery, solar power, an electric fan. We wanted our car to be able to be driven as a car again, and we didn't want something permanent in our car. So the bed is made in 2 pieces, front piece and a back piece. The piece that's closest to us has 2 drawers in them and holds the majority of the weight of the bed. The second piece is a platform with posts, like 6 posts coming from the platform. Had created another set of posts that go in between the driver and the passenger seats to the back seats to hold up the platform, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
This is the basics for what we did for storage.
For just our clothes.
For our clothes. We got these at Walmart. They were really cheap.
Yeah.
They were like, I don't know, $5, $10.
Yeah.
But they were perfect. And so what we did is we would have 2 of these and we stacked them on top of each other, and then rolled up our clothes, and yeah, and then we just stick them in the back of the car and then pushed it up so we'd have all of this space for our cooler while we were driving. We had the Arctic 45-gallon cooler that we would take out of the car every night to be able to sleep in, and when we were in bear country, we put it in the front of the car. When we were not in bear country, we had it locked up and we put it at our campsite.
Well, it was also locked in bear country.
Yeah, it was also locked in bear country as well. And then at the front of the bed, each had 2 plastic shoe containers, which we filled with whatever we wanted.
What ended up working out was that both of us had one that was just for like toiletries and like easy access, like bathroom stuff.
Yeah.
And then behind that would be like the other one where we kind of just crammed like a bunch of miscellaneous things that
the posts were basically the correct size to allow those shoe boxes to pull out easily but not move around or fall over. So in our drawers we keep all of our kitchen equipment, and then when you pull out the drawer you have this handy dandy cutting board / table.
Actually, we wanted to go with permanently or semi-permanently mounted solar panel on the roof. I had bought this massive 100-watt monocrystalline solar panel that I wanted to just mount to the roof and kind of let charge all day, but kind of ran out of time and didn't put a whole lot of thought into it. So I ended up using 2 25-watt monocrystalline solar panels that I had laying around.
Very small.
They're just small, and we kind of threw them in the back and pulled them out sporadically when we had some sunlight, which wasn't exactly as much sunlight as I had hoped for, but we bought a 100 amp hour massive battery, and it managed to hold the charge pretty well, and kind of kept us going throughout the whole trip, so we didn't really have any problems. The fan is this ultra low power marine fan. I think it's something ridiculous, like 0.5 amps or 0.05 amps. It's really super low powered. It barely used anything at all, and it worked out very well for us, I'd say.
One of the things that was very hard to figure out was how we were going to keep out the light from the mornings when we're waking up. After a few failed attempts at cutting fabric and making curtain, we just figured that the Subaru Forester isn't big enough for curtains. We were already and we were already losing a lot of space. So what we got was this material called reflexic.
It's basically like shiny insulation that
Yeah.
you cut.
So what we did was we non-scientifically cut it to size of each window. Besides the front window we bought a basic universal sun guard
which wasn't
shade.
Really universal.
It was, yeah, it was a little bit big for our car, but we made it work. Then we had Scotch Velcro strips that we cut and placed in the inside of our windows, and then on the reflexive
shiny stuff.
We only stuck it on the top of the rear window, so then we could crack down the window to let in some circulation of air, and it worked out really well. We really didn't have any complaints. It was super easy to put up every night, and it was very easy to store. It's very easy to roll up and just tuck away. Our mattress is a foam college mattress topper made by CAMPER.
Yeah.
And it was it's like comfy.
It does the job.
It's not as nice as, you know, a mattress, but for a 3-week road trip where you're kind of roughing it anyway, pretty nice.
So the water pump is a self-priming diaphragm pump. So basically, whenever there's a change in pressure, which would be us opening the valve spigot, it primes itself and pumps the water through. So it worked a lot like, you know, just the kitchen sink. You know, we had made the actual spigot assembly out of PVC and like some leftover plumbing parts your dad had laying around. Flexible plastic tube that runs from a 6-gallon igloo water container, which we keep in the passenger side rear footwell. And then we just kind of ran that vinyl tubing from that jug to the spigot at the end. And it worked out pretty well. About, I'd say, a week into the trip.
I'd say like 4 or 5 days into
4 or 5 days into the trip. We sprung a leak, but that's no problem.
Not major or anything.
That's no problem. We would just unplug it. I kind of foresaw something like that happening, so I used some XT60 connectors to make like a plug, so we could just unplug it whenever we didn't want to use it, and it was no big deal. I guess not quite like your kitchen sink, but you know, whatever. We did find, like, right before we left, that we had a little too much stuff, a little more than we probably needed.
Yeah.
So we borrowed a roof bag from my parents and just kind of crammed everything up there.
Yeah.
And it worked pretty well. That was just our extra stuff, like our hiking backpacks, our like hiking poles,
our foam roller,
our extra
whatever.
propane, that kind of stuff. Like just stuff that we didn't really need in the cabin with us.
Mm-hmm.
We just crammed up there, and it was fine. Pretty easy access.
Yeah. The other thing we did was set up our tent at every campsite that we went to, just to be able to change easily. But you could also just use the vault toilets
or anywhere really.
Anywhere really. Would you recommend doing the Subi?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Yeah, our Subaru we got, it only had about 90,000 miles on it. It's from 2008, so it's 12 years old. But it did not give us any troubles for the entire 3 weeks. We put on about 7,000 miles in 3 weeks. That's our tour of our Subaru, and we hope that this helps you decide what you might want to be driving in the future of your expeditions. We definitely think that the Subaru is the right choice for us.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Good car.
Good car.